Welcome to the 2022 Child Care Food Program Annual Training. Just so you know, I'm a little under the weather with either allergies or it's cold or something, but if I sound a little funny, you'll know why. The children now enrolled in your daycare have a life expectancy less than any generation before them, including us. This is a result of the food they eat, the screen time that they have on phones, computers, and tablets, and very little exercise. The CCFP encourages limited screen time, plenty of exercise, and nutritious meals. This might be something you would want to share with your parents, since we are talking about our future as well as the future generations. We'll have your certificate of completion emailed as soon as we receive all of your renewal paperwork. Your 1099 for taxes will be emailed in January of 2023. If you do not want it emailed, please note it on the enclosed 1099 form and we'll send it to your United States Post Office. But it could take longer for you to receive it. Just a reminder that in October we'll be returning to on-site reviews. Desk reviews are over. Please help your reviewer by having your thermometers easy to find and make sure your bubble sheet is kept done daily. Your reviewer will ask to see your saved paperwork at every review. Please ensure you have it all in order and everything that you send to us and everything you receive from us is organized by month. It should be kept in it should be easy to keep as long as you put the paperwork in each month. If you already have a method of saving your paperwork, you may use it any way you want to. If you save your disallowance letters and payments schedules on your computer, please make sure you have them backed up on a thumb drive or some other form of backup. If you save them to a folder from your server, you do not have to back them up. Woohoo! What a big raise we got this year. Breakfast went up 26 cents to 166. Lunch and supper went up 31 cents, and that's per meal per child every day that you claim them. And snack went up 19 cents to 97 cents. This is because they want to help alleviate some of the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. Section 3 of Keep Kids Fed Act 2022 provides temporary additional funding for each meal and supplement served. Just remember, this is temporary. It may go down next year, so just keep that in mind. There's no set payment date. You can usually expect to receive your reimbursement between the 12th and the 25th of the following month, but the state has 45 days to pay your claim. Our claims are processed as quickly as we receive them, and it is extremely important that you submit your paperwork in a timely manner. We request that you send your claims in on the last day of the month. Our staff works the first weekend of every month, as well as holidays if needed. Our fax and our emails are always available. Please call the office after the 25th if you haven't received your reimbursement. Ratios. DCF states the following. Any child who is 5 years old will be counted as a school ager, Any child who is below 5 years old, including infants, will be counted as preschool. A new homeschool letter must be submitted annually to us for any school-age child whose meals are being claimed during school hours, which is AM snack or lunch. Documentation must come from the school board and can no longer be done by a parent. Documentation is due at the beginning of every school year, even if one was sent the previous year. Now we have to talk about something that I don't like to. It's suspicious or unusual claiming practice are identified when the review of documentation does not provide a plausible explanation for the block claim. Block claims submitted where all children are present and claimed for a meal for 15 days in a row, no one is ever late, no one ever leaves early, etc. They're being flagged for additional reviews. The additional reviews can include parental contacts, review of ELC program documentation, and DCF inspection documentation, and sign-in, sign-out sheets. All of these state agencies have access to each other's records. Please make sure you are only claiming meals for children when they are actually present and served. Now, if you look at this slide, this is what we use to tell if you're over ratio or if you're anything, if there's any problems. Now, you notice across here, this provider had 10 kids the prior days, every single prior day. Then on the day of the inspection, they had 2. This happens a lot more than you think, and I just want you guys to be careful and not claim kids if you don't have them there. Okay? This is the enrollment sheet for infant and child nutrition. I'm going to go over it with you step by step as we go along. Please inform the parent to include all hours the student could ever attend. Usually 6 to 6 would cover all the meals. The parent should write that the child will be in care Monday through Friday, or if claiming weekends, Monday through Sunday. If the student could be at your daycare for various meals such as summer school or school closures or anything like that, please inform the parent to check all meals that could ever apply. Many times parents' days and times changed. You're required to send a new enrollment sheet which reflects the changes, and a good deal of time is spent each month calling each one of you regarding this issue. Please do not claim meals that are not checked on the enrollment sheet. Also, many times parents check a supper or a breakfast and then write the hours of care as 9 to 4. The child cannot be claimed if your breakfast is at 8 or if your supper is at 5. So please have the parent do the hours correctly. Enrollment sheets must be submitted for all children being claimed in your daycare and updated annually in July. New enrollment forms are due on the first day that you claim a student for a meal. Let me repeat that. They're due on the first day that you claim a student for a meal. Do not wait until the end of the month to send in your enrollment sheets. Please verify that the parents have correctly completed the entire form. The enrollment date and the signature date must be on or before the day you begin claiming the child on your meal count worksheet. The meals served and the days of the week in care must be checked. The primary hours of care on the sheet is also a requirement. Please keep a copy of each student's form with your CCFP records. We require our form, and DCF will require theirs as well. This is a copy of your Menu A. Menu A and Menu B have both been sent to you in your packet. If you'll notice, there's an effective date now of August 1st, 2022. Make sure that you're using those and postal those ones as well. There's not many changes. The only changes I really think I did, I may have done more, but the really major changes is I changed cold cereal to a named cereal and seasonal fruit to a named fruit. This is something the state required. This is your menu replacement form. There's some of these also in your packet. You need to use this if you change your standard meal at any time, or if you change any of your meals at any time. You need to place what you served and what was on the menu on this menu replacement form. Please note that when you change the standard menu on a meal with the grain listed, the substitute must also be a whole grain. If you make your own menus, please make sure a whole grain is listed one time every single day. Meal count worksheet. Please make sure that you write your name on the meal count worksheet. Please be sure you write the number of operating days, which is the number of days that at least one child attended your daycare. Then go down and write the child's name, and if it's the first time they're enrolled, make sure and write the enrollment date. You do not have to write that after that, just the first time they are enrolled. If they are withdrawn sometime during the month, make sure you write the withdrawal date beside the word withdrawn. Make sure you check as to whether they are infant, preschool, or school age. Always make sure to do that. Make sure to check that. At the end of the bubble sheet, make sure you total it in the total boxes and the grand total box. Now we're going to talk about the automated meal count worksheets that you do online. Please be aware that meal count must be entered daily. Failure to do so will result in meal disallowances during any review and may cause the forfeiture of your privilege to use the automated bubble sheet. You must also have the capability to print a copy of the meal count worksheet during every on-site review conducted by our representatives, DOH or USDA staff. Having faulty equipment, computer printer, no ink, etc. is not an acceptable excuse for the inability for you to produce the meal count worksheet during any review. In case of equipment malfunctions, you must use the manual paper meal count worksheet which is in your packet, and until your equipment meets all the requirements regarding the automated meal count worksheet. Failure to adhere to these guidelines may result in the forfeiture of your right to use the automated meal count worksheet. Meal disallowances may require further corrective action plans. If you have technical difficulties, you must have a manual system in place at all times. This is the automated meal count worksheet. If you notice, it's similar to the other sheet. You have to write your name. Make sure you write your name. Make sure you write the number of operating days, the month and the date and the year. Write the child's name, and if it's the first time they're enrolled, write in the next box in the red, write their enrollment date, and write their age. After the withdrawn box, make sure you write whether they're infant, preschool, or school age in the next box. The same goes for withdrawn. If the child is withdrawn, you write the withdrawal date in the withdrawn box, and you put the age of the child in the box next to it. Then you go in and you type the number 1 for each meal that you feed a child. The bubble sheet is self-adding, so it adds itself up at the end of the month, and even if you have more than one page. So just make sure you're doing that one right. This is a sheet that you guys have signed if you're doing the automated worksheet. All it says is that you agree to do everything that I just went over, and you've signed it and dated it. If you don't have a copy of that, or if you would like a copy of that, just ask and I'll be happy to send it. Shifts. We are required to stay the entire shift when we do a review of your daycare. That means if your shift schedule shows that you have breakfast from 8 to 10, we have to stay the entire time. If you are no longer serving shifts, please do not check shifts on your provider data sheet, which is enclosed in your packet. Please call or email us with any changes during the year. You must be pre-approved for shifts before claiming them. If you want to do shifts, you'll need to do the following. Every student that is claimed at a shift meal must appear on the shift schedule. If you claim a child on a shift meal and their name does not appear on the shift schedule, the meals will be disallowed. If during the month there is a holiday or a weekend or a non-school day, please make sure to send a separate shift schedule for that. If a shift schedules are not complete each month, you could lose your privilege for claiming shifts. This is your shift schedule. Be sure and put your name and the date up the top. And suppose that you're claiming school agers for breakfast shift, and then they leave and you have preschoolers come in that stay the day. Okay, so say your breakfast shift is at 6:30, and then they go off to school at 7, and then your school agers come in at 8, and they are served from 8 to 9. So you would claim the breakfast schedule 1 would be your school agers, and you would name every single name that eats a shift meal. And then on the breakfast shift 2, that would be your preschoolers, and that would be, you'd be claiming each one of them, but just can't claim over your authorized ratio. You can't do shift schedules at lunch, but when you go down to supper or afternoon snack, say afternoon snack, some of the school agers come in after, and some of the preschoolers leave. So you claim the preschoolers at afternoon snack 1, and then afternoon snack 2 would be your school agers that are coming in. The same thing with supper. Usually you claim your preschoolers for shift schedule 1, and you claim your preschoolers for shift schedule 2. This is your adult to child ratios sheet from the state of Florida. If you're a family daycare, you can have a maximum of 10 children if no more than 5 are preschool, and of those 5, not more than 2 are under the age of 12 months. If you're a large family, you can have a maximum of 12 children with no more than 4 children under the age of 24 months. Now we're going to talk about reviews. Items that need to be posted to your daycare are Building the Future poster, your WIC flyer, your standard infant menu if you have infants, your children's menu, your DCF license, and your sponsor provider agreement. Please make sure all of those items are posted to your daycare, in your daycare. It is your responsibility to train your substitute regarding the food program. They must allow your reviewer to conduct a meal review even if you are not at home. Your substitute must be capable of answering questions to be able to locate all program-related documents as well as perform an approved meal service. If you're frequently in a different part of your house and you can't easily hear your door, you must notify the office so that we can update your files to call you or attempt a different door during visits. It is imperative that we have your most updated phone number. Common review findings. No one home during a scheduled mealtime and no prior notice given. If you're going to be out during any mealtime, you have to call us in advance and let us know. That means you can't call us the day of and say, hey, I decided to go on a field trip, because we might be already on our way. So make sure and call us in advance, at least a day in advance, if you're going to have field trips. Claiming children's meals who are not present. That means like a school ager eating breakfast and then leaving and then claiming him for mealtime. You can't do that unless you have shifts. Claiming a child's meal under a different name, like accidentally using the wrong last name. I know that happens a lot because the names change, but just let me know in advance that the name has changed. Not submitting menu replacement forms when changes are recorded at a review. Anytime we're at a review and you change your meal, you have to do have the menu replacement form, and that must come into the office after that. Not serving milk or having correct milk on hand or not serving the required amounts. Cleaning supplies are not stored separately from food. This is how we get the 5-day test. We add the numbers of the students present for the 5 days prior to the meal. This equals 22. Then we divide the 22 by 5, which equals 4.4. Then we take the 4.4 times 0.85 and get the number 3.74. Since 3.74 is less than the 4 students that are present that day, you pass the 5-day test and we check yes. Please be careful to claim these exact numbers on your meal count worksheet. I can't stress that even more because you have to do that. Do not change your meal count worksheet after a review, ever. Review reminders. Give your reviewer your meal count worksheet or your bubble sheet and begin to print immediately if you use the auto bubble sheet. Give your reviewer your menus and make sure unflavored 1% or non-fat milk is on the menu. Somewhere on the menu, if you make your own menus. Find your thermometers in all refrigerators and freezers that you use for daycare. Make sure your refrigerator is 41 degrees or below and your freezer is 0 degrees or below. Always have your sponsors providers agreement posted with other food program documents. Make sure the processed foods have a code which appears on the approved commercially processed combination food list or have a CN label. At reviews, we are required to make sure your home is sanitary, insect and rodent free. Make sure prepared food in your refrigerator is stored in clean, covered containers which are labeled and dated if you use it for daycare. If you do not use it for daycare, be sure and tell your reviewer. Wash your hands as well as all the children's hands with soap and water. If you change your menu, it must be changed and posted in advance of the meal. A menu replacement form is on the website for your convenience, or there's some in your packet. You could receive an inspection from the CCFP personnel at any time without our staff. They will have badges and will be looking for the same things that we observe at our reviews. Make certain you can produce a year's copy of all CCFP materials and that information is organized. This is the new format for the meal patterns for children. Breakfast must consist of 3 of the following components: a fluid milk, a vegetable, fruit, or 100% fruit juice, a grain, or a bread. A fruit or vegetable must be served. This can be frozen, canned, or canned. This can be fresh, frozen, or canned. The bread or grain component may be replaced with a meat or a meat alternative component up to 3 times per week. Cereal must contain no more than 6 grams of sugar per dry ounce. This is the meal patterns for children for lunch and supper. Lunch and supper must contain 5 items. These 5 items must include at least 2 vegetables and 1 fruit or 100% fruit juice and 1 vegetable. You must have a fluid milk, a vegetable, a fruit, vegetable, or 100% fruit juice or vegetable juice, a grain or a bread, and a meat or a meat alternative. You cannot serve 2 fruits in the same meal. Lunch and supper must contain at least 1 vegetable. You may serve 2 vegetables as long as they are different. And this is the new meal patterns for children for snack. snack must contain at least 2 different components. You have a grain and a bread, a meat and a meat alternative, a fluid milk, a vegetable, or a fruit. A fruit or vegetable must be served at least twice a week at snack. This can be fresh, frozen, or canned. You may claim a vegetable and a fruit and 100% vegetable juice, or vegetable and 100% fruit juice at snack. Only one beverage can be counted as a snack. You're required to serve 1-year-old children unflavored whole milk. You're required to serve children ages 2 through 5 years old unflavored 1% 1% or fat-free milk. You're required to serve children ages 6 through 12 unflavored or flavored 1% or fat-free milk. 2% milk is not creditable for any student on the USDA food program. If you make your own menus, unflavored milk, unflavored, fat-free 1% or whole milk must appear on your menu. Other creditable milks are buttermilk, goat's milk, UHT, which is ultra high temperature milk, commercial eggnog, acidified milk, lactose-free and lactose-reduced milk, soy or soybean milk. A parent's note or doctor's note must be on file if soy milk is served in place of cow's milk. If a child is unable to have milk, will I still be reimbursed for the child's breakfast, lunch, or supper? The answer to that is yes. But you must obtain a medical statement from a doctor stating the disability, what foods need to be replaced, and what they can be replaced with. Please contact our office with any child-specific questions or concerns. These are the milk substitutions that are creditable. I will be sending you an email with a copy of this brochure right away. The vegetable and fruit components are separate. There is a fruit component and a vegetable component. A fruit or vegetable must be served at least twice a week at breakfast and twice a week at snack. Fruit and vegetables can be fresh, frozen, or canned. Lunch and supper must contain at least 1 vegetable. You may serve 2 vegetables as long as they are different. Fruits or vegetables containing vitamin A must be served at least twice a week. Fruits or vegetables containing vitamin C must be served daily. Juice may be used as a fruit or vegetable at any meal. Juice may only be claimed once per day. Only 100% fruit juice is allowed, and juice cannot be served to infants. Grains and bread. At least 1 serving per day must be 100% whole grain. Grains and bread must be whole grain, enriched, or made from whole grain or enriched meal flour. Ensure the label says 100% whole grain meal, whole grain flour, bran, or germ in order for it to be creditable. Now we have grain-based desserts and cereals. Sweet grains or bread are not creditable or reimbursable. This includes cake, brownies, cookies, iced crackers, donuts, honey buns, Pop-Tarts, fruit bars, granola bars. This is the one you try to do a lot, but granola bars are not creditable. Cereal bars of any kind, pastries, or vanilla wafers. French toast, waffles, and pancakes can be creditable if served plain or with a small amount of syrup. Cereal must contain 6 grams or less of sugar to be creditable. Animal crackers, graham crackers, and muffins are the only allowable sweets, but muffins must not have sugar as its first ingredient. It can't have the sugar as its first ingredient. It can have other things like wheat bread or whatever, but it cannot have sugar. Meat and meat alternatives. Our meats are lean meat, poultry, fish, cheese, eggs, yogurt, dried beef or peas, dried beans or peas, nuts, but nuts may only fulfill no more than 1/2 of the meat alternative requirement at lunch and supper. So make sure that you use double the amount at lunch and supper if you're using nuts. Peanut butter. If you serve peanut butter, it is a requirement that you serve it to the ages in the amounts below. Lunch and supper, ages 1 to 2, 2 tablespoons. Ages 3 to 5, 3 tablespoons. Ages 6 to 12, 4 tablespoons. For snack, ages 1 to 2 is 1 tablespoon. Ages 3 to 5 is 1 1/2 tablespoon. And ages 6 to 12 is 2 tablespoons. So you don't want to serve 4 tablespoons to a 6 to 6-year-old. What you need to do is serve half that amount and serve half another amount of another protein that counts, like a boiled egg or something like that. If a child is unable to have milk, will I still be reimbursed for the child's breakfast, lunch, or supper? The answer is yes, but you must obtain a medical statement from a doctor stating the disability, what food needs to be replaced, and what they can be replaced with. Please contact our office with any other specific questions. Yogurt must contain no more than 23 grams of sugar per 6 ounces to be credible as a meat or a meat alternative. 4 ounces equal 15 grams or less, 6 ounces is 23 grams or less, and 8 ounces is 30 grams or less. If you look at this box of yogurt, the serving size is 6 ounces and it has 18 grams of sugar. It cannot be more than 23 grams, so this yogurt is approved. Creditable and non-creditable cheeses. Natural cheese and pasteurized cheese are creditable, as 1 ounce equals 1 ounce in the USDA food program. Walmart and Publix have pasteurized cheese in a pack that is not wrapped. It is creditable 1 ounce to 1 ounce. Usually 2 slices of cheese is 1 ounce, and it's creditable. If you use a cheese food, or you were to use a cheese food, it would take 4 slices, or maybe 5, to be creditable. So it'd be better to stick with the natural cheese or the pasteurized cheese. These cheeses are not creditable. If you look at it, it says imitation cheese, a cheese product. Velveeta is not creditable at all. Cheese sauces, any of that needs a child nutrition label if you're gonna be, or a CN label if you're gonna be using that. But other than that, you can't use it because it's non-creditable. All those cheeses, Kraft, Velveeta, Cheese Whiz. If you look at the label, you can see these say cheese product or cheese dip or something like that. None of these are creditable. You cannot deep fry any foods. You can pan fry in a small amount of oil if you like, but you cannot deep fry. Hot dogs and bologna must be mild meat and poultry products with no byproducts, cereals, or extenders. Please note that luncheons meat that are not CN labeled are not creditable towards the meal pattern requirements. This is straight out of the book. You cannot serve boar's head luncheon meat, any kind of luncheon meat in your meals. So if you've been serving sandwiches, you're going to have to come up with something else. Okay? Main dish combination products that are commercially processed, such as ravioli, beef stew, spaghetti with meat sauce, egg rolls, pizza, chicken nuggets, fish sticks, etc., must contain a CN label or a manufacturer's analysis sheet to show that the product contains sufficient quantities of meat or the meat alternative, grain or grain breads to meet the meal patterns. Otherwise, it may not be counted towards a reimbursable meal. This is a copy of the 2019 product and UPC codes. These are the ones you can use. You've got a new one last year, and if you need one, you can ask me and I'll email it to you. I'm not sending them out. I didn't put them in your packets. So if you need one, call me. Child care providers must make water available to children upon request throughout the day. You are strongly encouraged to measure or weigh the food being served with measuring cups or a food scale to ensure you are serving the proper required amounts. Our reviewers may measure the amounts served during a review. You are required to have a working thermometer in your refrigerator and your freezer. All refrigerators and freezers that are used for daycare food need to have a thermometer. The refrigerator must be maintained at 41 degrees or less, and the freezer must be maintained at 0 degrees or less. Prepared food used in your daycare must be stored in clean, covered containers that are clearly labeled and marked with the date of preparation. If your own food is in your refrigerator and you are asked, please let the reviewer know that it is not used for daycare children. Foods must be cooked and served at the proper temperature to avoid foodborne illnesses. Cleaning supplies must be stored separately from food. There must be no evidence of rodent or insect infestation. Providers and children and staff must wash hands properly, frequently, and before food preparation, service, and eating. You are required to offer a formula from the CCFP approved formula list, usually Parent's Choice. If the parent wishes to use another formula, they can supply their own formula by writing in the name of the formula they wish to supply on the infant feeding form. An infant feeding form is required for all infants. If you look at the infant feeding form, you need to write your name and the kind of formula you offer to supply across the board to all infants in your daycare. All infant feeding forms should have the same information up here. So you would have your name, and if you decide to do Parent's Choice, you put Parent's Choice in both lines. And when you've done that, then you give the parent this form along with the enrollment form to fill out in order to get into enrollment for your daycare. This is the standard infant menu. You need to write in the names of the two names of the formula you offer to supply, which is usually Parent's Choice, and then you need to post this if you have infants. This is the meal pattern for infants. It's new. I forgot to put it in your packet, so I'm going to have to email it. There's several things I'm going to have to email to you, but this is one of them. Infants birth to 5 months may only be served formula or breast milk. You must have documentation on file in your daycare home from the parent allowing any infant under 5 months old to be served anything other than formula or breast milk. And you also need to send that documentation in to us. You are allowed to claim meals from meals when a mother directly breastfeeds her infant in your daycare home. Juice is not creditable for any infant. A vegetable or fruit combination or both must be served to infants at every meal, including snack. Once again, fruit or vegetable juice cannot be served to infants. Never serve honey to infants less than 1 year old. Honey contains botulism spores and is very bad for them. When you're looking for jarred baby food, the first ingredient must be the actual fruit or vegetable to be creditable. Combination foods and dinners are not creditable. That means like chicken and rice or beef and vegetables. They're not credible for anything. Baby food can either be prepared commercially or homemade. If you look at these jars, one of them has water and one of them has pears as the first ingredient. So the one with the water would not be creditable. The standard infant menu must be posted. The formula offered section on the top must be complete. Remember, an infant feeding form is required in addition to the enrollment sheet to enroll all children under the age of 12 months old. The 2022-23 renewal is here. It's once again time to renew your paperwork for next year, and below is a checklist of all the items needed to complete your renewal. All paperwork is due into our office by September 15th, 2022. We'll need a provider data sheet, an updated enrollment forms, 1099 authorization, holidays open schedules, alternate phone numbers, and a training letter. The sponsor provider agreement does not need to be updated this year since we just updated it in December of last year. All forms can be accessed at infantandchildnutrition.org. The presentation will be available shortly on the website for your convenience or for future reference from this training. Thank you so much for putting up with my cold, and you guys have a great day, and if you need anything from me, give me a call.